What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Here we are with another reaction. In this, we have things I never did before moving to the UK. Before we dive into this video, if you guys happen to enjoy, please don't forget to smash subscribe, get a video a thumbs up. Let's look at what wasn't getting done.
Never ever entered my mind, obviously. Hey everybody, welcome to the Hickson Diaries, where we talk about my life as an American living here in the UK. To be honest, if you told me a few years ago that I would be living in the UK and no longer living in the United States of America, I definitely would not have believed you. But here I am. And today I wanted to share with you some things that I never did before moving here.
Okay.
First up is travel insurance. Now, it's not like travel insurance doesn't exist in the United States.
Yeah.
I never really had anything that would feel the pinch if it did get broken or lost or stolen or anything like that.
Yeah.
Also, when it came to getting sick or hurt, you don't really need travel insurance because your medical insurance would cover anything that you have going wrong. So I never felt the need to really have anything extra with me while I was traveling. However, we've just recently come back from a trip a few months ago abroad. Everybody was telling me and reminding me that I needed to get travel insurance. Obviously, the NHS doesn't extend abroad. And if anything did happen, then I would have to pay out of pocket. There is something else that the UK has. I can't remember the exact name of it. It's basically an international insurance card. So if you are in the NHS and you're approved to be part of the NHS, you can apply to get this card and it'll cover you when you go abroad to Europe and some portions of the rest of the continent as well. And this way, if anything does happen when you get sick or hurt, you will be covered. And then, of course, you can take the additional travel insurance out for anything that might be lost, stolen, etc. Yeah, I had to take out travel insurance when we went to Greece. And I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea if it was right. I was trying to sit there and research it. And basically, I just ended up giving it to somebody that I trusted and said, please just tell me what the right thing to do is here. And they guided me. So
there you go.
Yeah, travel insurance. That was a new one for me.
Yeah,
Second
nice
thing
to have connections. Nice to have people who know exactly what to do, who can help guide you when you're in situations like that. But yeah, I mean, I hope to be able to get travel insurance one day because that means I'll have actually traveled outside of this country, which definitely is a dream of mine. Just got to build the funds up in order to do so, but I got to. I have to. So I will travel. Let's see what else we got.
Is walking to work. Now, and I walk just about everywhere. But the biggest thing is I'm walking to work. Never walk to work ever, except when I worked from home and I just had to walk down the steps in my house in the United States to my office. Other than that, I never had to walk to work. I always had to drive to work. It was always at least a 15-minute commute. That was a really, really good commute, actually. But in some cases, I had to drive an hour to an hour and a half one way. So the fact that I get to walk to work is really amazing to me. It kind of clears my head a little bit. So it gives me a clearer kind of perspective as I'm starting my day. And then it helps me wind down a little bit as the end of the day as well. It's kind of a forced way for you to get out of the house and get out into the open and be a part of the world. And I think that that's really, really important. It's something that has really helped me just navigate my work-life balance here in the UK. So I'm very grateful that I get to walk to work now. Next, we have
that is. I feel like that is clutch. To be able to walk to work is a very nice privilege that most of us in the U.S. don't have because we know this nation is built upon cars. You got to have a car, but most of us don't have jobs that close. Yeah, I think like her, I'm in the same situation where I just walk into my office and get to record, but before this, I definitely had to drive to work every day.
Sugar in my tea and coffee. Now, I never used brown sugar in the States unless I was baking something. And I sat down and have a cup of coffee with someone and they gave us this sugar bowl with actual sugar cubes, mind
Oh,
you. And there were some white ones and there were some brown ones. And I asked what the brown ones were, and they mentioned, oh, that's brown sugar. And I was like, okay, that's a little weird. I had no idea that people had brown sugar in any of their beverages.
me neither.
However, I
Not in.
tried
I've
it
never heard of brown sugar in coffee. If I'm, yeah, that one's new to me.
because when in Rome, do what the Romans do, or
Yeah.
in this case, when in the UK, do what the British do. It was actually really, really good. And
Mm.
I liked it even better than I liked the white sugar. And the more I tried it, the more I liked it. Especially in coffee, you don't have to use nearly as much.
Hmm.
And I always have a little bit of brown sugar left over from whatever I'm baking anyway, and it usually ends up going bad. So now I get to save some money as well by using brown sugar in all of my coffee and tea. It's
That's
delicious, and I
nice.
definitely recommend that you try it. This
Hmm.
next one is a little bit of a staple, but those of you who've grown up in the shopping mall that we call the United States of America will appreciate it. Going shopping on High Street, or the High Street, as many people often correct me. So,
Hmm.
High Street, for those of you who don't know, is really just like a main street that you would find in every town. That's kind of the American
Okay.
equivalent. But
Got you.
imagine like an old school main street where all of the shops are there, all of the restaurants, everything that you need is
Oh.
basically on this one street or a few of the alleys and offshoots of that street.
Okay.
Exist here in the UK. And they're still pretty lively and have a lot going on. And it is really common, especially when it's like a Saturday or a Sunday, to go to High Street and do some shopping. As an American living
Right.
here, I love going to High Street, even if it's just walking around. It's always got a little bit of a buzz, and there's always someone playing live music, or there's always something going on. I really enjoy the cultural aspect of it because there's not that many main streets left in the United States that have that same kind of vibe without having to drive to it as well, or have it be a little
I
bit
feel that.
too fake or manufactured. So the
Oh.
authenticity of the UK high streets, and the history that comes along with it, really, really intriguing to me,
Pretty
and
cool.
I love doing the shopping on High Street. So the
Yeah, I
next
feel like it'd be cool. Definitely just experience that and experience some of that history, experience some of that culture, and then just like who doesn't love shop? When I have money, shopping is absolutely amazing. But I'm broke. I hate it. I can't stand it. Oh, but High Street, right? You got your food, you got your shops, you got everything you need right down here, or offshoots of alleyways or wherever. But it's all very close together, so like a one stop shop for everything because you got all these stores. Uh, that's dope.
This one's a kind of funny one. It's about tipping. So, if you're from the
Oh, I
United
feel
States,
this.
whenever you're going to a restaurant to eat, you go to a bar, or you have someone serving you, that you would give them a tip on top of their salary, because their salary is usually cut as opposed to what the normal hourly
Mm,
salary would be.
yep.
And that's just a custom in America, and you tip in order to kind of compensate them for the work and service that they've done for you. Now, there is a tipping culture here in the UK, and for certain things, like if you get food delivered or groceries
Hmm.
delivered, if you
Okay.
get your hair done or your nails done, something like that, then you would often leave a tip in those scenarios as well. Going
Okay.
to a restaurant and leaving the restaurant without leaving a tip, very strange to me, and
I feel
something
that.
I never did until I moved here. I still feel uncomfortable. I'm not gonna lie. And I know psychologically, like I have the information that I
Mhm.
know it's not that I'm stiffing them or that they're
Yeah.
not being compensated by their employer as it should be. But it still feels very, very weird for me to not, leave some cash on the
Something.
table as I'm getting up. I usually just kind of leave this up to whatever British person I'm out with to determine whether or not it's an appropriate tipping situation. But it still feels very, very weird when I just get up and I don't have cash on the table, or I don't sign the check with a tip on there. It's so strange to me, and I don't know if that's something that I'm ever going to get used to. So the next one's
Mm,
going to sound a
I
little bit.
feel like, yeah, I mean, I hate tipping with an absolute passion. I feel like we need to be holding these companies and corporations more accountable, these restaurants, pay the workers fair wages, and stop depending on customers to make up for it. I don't rock with it. I do tip. I always do tip because you know what I'm saying. Although I don't necessarily agree with it, I understand. these people ain't getting paid what they supposed to. I tip in restaurants. Everywhere else, I'm not tipping. I don't do food deliveries because I don't want to tip on that, and I'm just gonna pick it up myself. But yeah, when I'm in restaurants, because my wife loves to sit down and eat, I'll tip. But other than that, that's the only spot I'll tip in.
Bit strange, but just hear me out on this.
Okay.
Dry my clothes on a radiator. This seems really, really old to me. I remember watching black and white movies where they would dry clothes on like a line in front of the fire, like an open fire, or like old apartment buildings in New York or something where they would have the big radiator and they would put their stuff on there in order to dry it out. Okay. This is not really something that's common in modern day in America. A lot of houses have things that's called central heating. So it's basically just forced air that goes through your home, either heat or air conditioning. If they don't have that, they would have oil heat or something like that. There's not a whole lot of radiator heat. So adjusting to radiator heat in general is a little bit hard. And then also adjusting to the all-in-one washer and dryer that they have. Well, in the U.S., there's usually laundry rooms, or you have a separate washer and dryer for your clothes when you're doing your laundry. But the problem with the all-in-one washer and dryer is that it takes forever to do your laundry and dry your laundry. Really? So I find myself more often than not just hanging my laundry out to dry. And when it's really cold in winter and it's going to take a really long time for things like socks or maybe a bulky sweater or blanket or something, I'll drape it over the radiator to get it to dry faster. It's something I would have never thought of, and I definitely would have never done in the U.S. by any means. I know all you Brits out there.
Yeah, I definitely feel like we don't have radiators. I haven't seen no radiators here, so I feel like you can't really do that unless you move to the UK where you got the radiators. It's not the central air and heating situation that we got over here. Although I love my central air and heating situation. Very, very nice. But one thing I do want is that towel heating rack, radiator, whatever it is. I can drape my towel on and it'd be warm when I get out the shower.
I hate me for this one, but I have to say it. Hearing the word whilst being used in common everyday conversations. Okay, I don't even know how to explain it. We say while in America. I don't know anyone that says whilst, except maybe I've heard some pretentious Ivy Leaguer who's trying to mimic the Brits or just make sure that you know they're an Ivy Leaguer. But every day, no. However, it's used by newscasters and news presenters. It's used by celebrities. It's used in the office. It's used in the stores. I've even had people in my private life use it as well. It's not something that's commonly used in America, and I have to admit that I do laugh every time I hear it. The one that really broke me was when my kid came home from school and was telling me a story and used the word whilst as they were telling me the story.
She said,
I was like, my kid is British now. There's no turning back. I used to argue with my partner about this next one all the time in America because they didn't understand why it was so important. Not have to have my wallet with me when I leave the house. Here in the UK, well, I don't have a driver's license, so I definitely don't need it to drive. But even if I did, you don't need it on you when you drive. I think it's linked to the registration of your car. Something like that. There's a lot of cameras here in the UK for driving, speeding, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
They'll just read your license and they'll send you a ticket. For the most part, you don't need your wallet. I don't even have a card anymore. My residency visa is now attached to my passport. So when you scan my passport, you can see that I'm a resident. And I have an app on my phone that I can log into to show my residency. The only time I'll bring my wallet with me is, like I said, if I need cash, if I'm going shopping on High Street, or if I know I'm going to like the local chippy, which is cash only for us, then maybe I'll just grab my wallet because it's easier. My partner, when we were in the US, would never have his wallet on him. And I would be like, you need to have your wallet on you. Someone's if you get pulled over, they could impound the car if you don't have your proper ID to prove who you are. Now that I'm in a situation where I'm like, you don't have to, I can see how it can be a little authoritarian now, and it's definitely not something that sheds a good light on America. But again, it's just something that we've grown up with. It's all in the culture and it's just expected of us. It's another thing that's a little bit weird when I think about it, but it has become a habit for me to leave my wallet at home here in the UK. And lastly,
Hey, that's really nice, and I have to need to carry your ID around when you drive and everything. Sometimes I forget my wallet, and I'm just praying like I don't get pulled over. But for the most part, yeah, you always got to have a wallet on me. Always got to have the ID on me because you never know when you're going to get pulled over. You must have that ID. I think some cops will. If you got your picture of your ID as well, but I don't like keeping a picture of my ID. I should. I definitely should. Anyways, let's continue to the next one. Shout out to the UK. That's really dope that y'all don't have to carry your IDs when driving or anything.
this is something that I still don't 100% understand. By getting a license for my television, or telly,
Oh,
as they like to call it here in the UK. In America, you just sign up for whatever the local cable company is or
yeah.
Wi-Fi company, whatever. Download your subscriptions to your streaming services and you just go. You just move on.
That's it.
And then, of course, if you change locations, then you might have to change accounts. But other than that, you're just good to go. Here,
Yeah.
they actually have licenses for you to use your TV. And they'll like send you a letter if you are using your television without an actual license. I think it has to do with using the local channels like the IBC and BBC, like the BBC and the TV. I'm not 100% sure. Like I said, I still don't understand it because it seems like a joke to me. We do have it, and it is, money taken out of our checking account every month. And now I'm really, what the hell does a TV license do? Like, what difference does it make? I don't even watch regular television anyway.
I
I
feel
only
that.
watch like YouTube and like 2 streaming services.
Yeah.
What a waste of my time. What a waste of my energy. There you have
Most
it,
of your
guys. Those are
money.
the things that I never did as an American until I came here to the UK. I wonder if you guys have any quirks that you've noticed that I've done in the last 2 years that you don't know that would be something that someone in America might do. Or maybe you've visited America or you've lived in America and you have some of the opposite type of culture shocks where you've done things there that you've never done here. Leave it in the comments below. I'd really love to hear your story. If you could hit that like button for me, that'd be great. Hit the subscribe button as well if you haven't already. And thanks for listening as always. Stay safe and I'll talk to you soon.
And I believe the TV license goes towards paying the BBC and the news. Correct. Correct me if I'm mistaken. BBC News or any kind of shows they come up with, it pays for that. Please, like I said, correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, I don't like TV license. I feel like you shouldn't have to have that if you don't use it. But that's how it is in the UK. So you gotta adjust. I could not find the word. That's all we got. If you guys enjoyed, don't forget to subscribe, give it a thumbs up, check out the next